me after Bromley's 1-0 win against Morecambe. We've got 3 games left of the season. It was important after the Port Vale defeat that Bromley got back to winning ways. Just said to Andy, did it really matter about how we won? And Andy said, well, yeah, it did, in the sense of he wanted a clean sheet. He wanted clearly, obviously, a better performance than Port Vale, but it was also about not being boring in achieving that 1-0 win, so to speak. And I think was it an interesting game? Well, I'll be honest, no, it wasn't. Like, I zoned out from certain times. That's not necessarily Bromley's fault. If you actually look at the game as a kind of tactical piece of analysis, Bromley created their fair share of opportunities. If Bromley had won 3-0, 4-0, for people who are in attendance today, I think they would have said, yeah, well, fair. Because in the first half, Omar's header is saved off the line. Who else had an opportunity? Cheeky had one where he just missed it at the far post. He curls one over the post. Danny Imre had a shot which was well saved. Their keeper had a really good game in the first half. And then in the second half, they briefly rallied. To give Morecambe their due, they briefly rallied after the goal, Cheeky's penalty. Grant saved 2, and then their centre-back, I think Max Taylor, actually Charles cleared his header off the line, and then Tatunda got sent off for 2 of the most ridiculous yellow cards that I've seen. I think the second was for dissent to the lino, and he got like 2 yellow cards in the space of 10 minutes. And from the minute Tatunda got sent off, the game was done. It was done and dusted. Everyone in the ground kind of knew Morecambe weren't going to come back into the game. So my only real critique of Bromley's performance in that sense was, from that point when he got sent off about 67 minutes, whatever it was, Bromley had so many attacks where a bit of ruthlessness, a bit of clinical decision making and finishing could have just ended this as a contest a lot earlier. But like I say, we're in that kind of last throes of the season where, rightly or wrongly, it felt almost like it wasn't pre-season. I don't want to say that. But there was a bit of a weird atmosphere, possibly because, and you could hear it with the Morecambe fans, I feel so sorry for them, their club's been run into the ground. I think at one point in the second half, they were singing a song like essentially intimating that their chairman doesn't care about the football club, doesn't care about the fans. And if you read my match preview, there's an article you can read on the BBC about him even saying himself he can't wait to get rid of this football club, and so on and so forth. So you kind of look at Morecambe's performance and you're like, you know, that's a team that's going to the National League. And unfortunately, and I don't know if any Morecambe fans are watching this, I don't think you'll come back. Because if that's the quality of the side that they've got, and yes, they're trying and they're trying their best, but if that's the quality of the side they've got, we've seen what the National League is like. That team they've got is not robust enough. It doesn't have enough goals in it. It doesn't have enough kind of like, not even winner's mentality, it doesn't have enough fight in them to cope with going to Maidenhead away next season if Maidenhead stay up in the National League, etc. So they could be in for a massive culture shock next season when they go down to the National League. And I say go down because they're bottom of the league, they're 8 points adrift, there's 9 points left to play for, they're finished. As for Bromley, let's just finish off with looking at Bromley, we're actually only 7 points off the playoffs. And I do just wonder, and this is a little challenge for Bromley fans, look back across the season. Where were the games where we dropped points, where we probably should have got some? Because we could have been going into these last 3 games kind of with something to play for. And that's not a criticism. That's just you look back now and go, first season, only 7 points off the playoffs with 3 games to go. We probably could have had a crack at it, but you know, you live and you learn. I'm sure there's lots of learnings that Andy's taken from it, Robin's taken from it, and we start to think ahead to next season. Final thing from me. Spoke to Andy about his contract. Is he staying at the club? He tells me he's staying. So let's look out for some news in the coming weeks in relation to that. And the final thing, because I know people watch this, it would be nice. We have one more home game left against Cheltenham. It would be nice for us to see some of the kind of stalwarts of the club who I suspect we are unlikely to see next season. And it would be nice to see them get a run out as an opportunity to kind of say goodbye to the Bromley fans. I think people get where I'm going with this. And so we only have one more home game left, so it would be nice to just see some of the wider squad feature before our first season in League Two comes to an end.